Welcome to the Film Garage 208 podcast. My name is Sarah, and this is Daniel.
Hello.
Hello. Today we have with us Lawrence Stone, who is a business coach and mentor for the Bassic Trainer based out of East Idaho.
Yes.
Thank you for
Basic
being
with
here
two
today.
S's.
Basic with two S's, yes. Thank you for letting me be here. That's right. I am a bass player. I studied music in college. String bass is my instrument of choice. I've played just about any kind of genre, but I especially love jazz and bluegrass. But it's basic with two S's. As a bass player, I tell people I establish a rhythm to great music. And as a business coach, I establish a rhythm to your vision.
So the reason you're here today is for the business coaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just so we don't confuse anyone. But yeah, so tell us about your business.
Yeah, so I started about a year and a half ago. It's something I've always wanted to do. Like a lot of people coming out of high school, I had high aspirations. I felt like I was supposed to influence people and help people out, but I had no idea what that looked like, what it meant. And so going into college, I just kind of meandered from one degree to another. I changed my degree quite a bit.
Where'd you go to school?
BYU, Idaho, just up in Rexburg. I eventually landed on music and even changed from a couple of different music degrees. But I was still very confused as to what I was supposed to do with my life. I had some kind of general ideas, basic ideas. I was working for a company as I was moving up in leadership. I thought there was a potential future career there, but I noticed that every time I moved up, there seemed to be a bigger disconnect between leadership and the people under them.
After graduating from school?
Well, this is while I was still in college.
School?
This is still while I was in college.
Oh, great. That you had a good job to see that.
Yeah. But at that point, I realized I had no future with this company. I couldn't, they just didn't espouse the values that I wanted, and I was going to have to walk away from it. And so still very confused as to what I was supposed to do. I was listening to the radio. I'd recently started reading books, and one of the books I read was The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Okay. And he had a radio program, and I was listening to it, and he was interviewing another author that I'd never heard of before at that point called John Maxwell. And John Maxwell, are either of you familiar with him at all? Have you heard of John Maxwell?
I've heard his name.
He's got a ton of business books.
He does. He actually holds the world record for having published more words on leadership than anyone ever in history. He's got, I think, 91 books out there now. Wow. He's considered the number one authority on leadership.
I have not read any of his books, but I definitely recognize the name.
Oh, I can recommend some books.
Yeah.
I love his
94
books.
to check out.
Yeah. Yeah. So 91, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Jeez, Sarah.
He's talking about coaching and helping businesses have better relationships with their employees. And obviously that was something on my mind because of what I was doing. And I was like, that's what I need to be doing with my life. I need to help other businesses have better relationships. I want to help them build. I want to help mentor them. And that was the first time I'd heard the concept of business coaching.
Yeah.
And I got really excited about it. But almost in that exact same moment, you have that negative self-talk. I call it your shoulder devil that tells you, oh, well, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not going to be able to do that. And he kind of goes under this guise of, I'm the practical part of your brain, and I'm just here to protect you. And because everything seemed so practical to me, I instantly gave up on that dream and on wanting to do that.
On coaching. Because you were still in college at this point.
I was still in college. Yeah. I wasn't studying business. Like, why would anyone listen to me?
Sure, yeah.
And so I believed that lie, if you will, and I gave up on it. But every career I have pursued after that, I looked for opportunities to mentor other people, whether I was mentoring clients or I was mentoring new hires or other employees. That was whenever I go in for a job interview, I had two questions. And one of those was, what mentoring opportunities are available for me?
Interesting.
And so I was like, I got a piece of it. I can't let it go. I got to do something.
Was that pretty appealing to people when you were applying for jobs? Like what?
I feel like
I want to know, what jobs did you have? Like,
so I've had multiple jobs. I worked for, I had my own insurance. I tried doing my own insurance agency. I was working with farmers. Essentially, I was an exclusive agent there. And then we had some situation issues that came up that I eventually walked away from that. I went into a technical support job. I grew up, my dad's an IT guy, and so I knew a lot about computers. And so I did technical support, bilingual support, because I speak Spanish. For Cisco, I did that for a little while and was getting to the point where I was starting to train people, and I was enjoying that, but it wasn't paying me enough. And so I walked away and took a retail management job for pay less, and I was managing multiple stores. I actually took two of their worst performing stores and made them the top performing stores in that region.
Nice.
And they were also high shrink stores. The shrink was still bad. Just
were they here?
They were in. They were in Utah.
And they were high. Why?
Just the neighborhoods they had weren't.
Just theft.
Yeah, they weren't the best. Like one of them was right in downtown Salt Lake. There's a lot of homeless panhandlers that are just hanging out there. Like I would show up at work, and there would be people who would be passed out in front of my store. It was a pretty crime-ridden neighborhood. But even with that, I was able to reduce the shrink in those
that's
stores.
hard, and that's all based on like people management and customer service.
Yeah.
Is Payless a place where they just grab and run?
Sometimes it was interesting. Some of the techniques that they would have. Sometimes
things are like shoes.
We were in retail also in Hawaii with a
super high shrink too. Right?
So my least favorite tactic that we saw a couple of times was they would come in with their baby carriage
stroller with no baby.
Yeah, and they would actually hide them under the baby or put them on the baby and then
with a baby in there too.
Even with the baby in there. Yeah.
I never caught one with an actual baby in.
Yeah.
I've had it like under the baby, like under the stroller.
Yeah.
Did you guys have sensors on anything? Was there like alarms at the doors?
Not really. I mean, there was a few, but not really.
Interesting.
Isn't it crazy when they get so bold where they know and they still just like don't care at all and just right in front of you? It'll just
like literally, we've had it before where they pulled up in their bag and she swiped it all into her bag and was like, and just walked right out.
Walked out. Mm-hmm. The worst one I actually had was my assistant manager. Mm-hmm. She was doing fake returns and cashing out the money.
Internal theft.
Oh my That was actually the worst one that we had. We caught her.
How much did she get away with before she got caught? And probably had to pay all back.
She did. I think it was. I want to say it was around $1,500 or $1,800.
Oh shit, that's a lot of money.
Number.
Yeah,
all at Payless.
All at Payless.
Oh, that's a lot.
And so basically, she had to forfeit her last paycheck, and they worked out a payment plan for her to pay the rest of it back.
That's pretty nice, honestly. To not like press charges or anything.
Yeah, it was nice, but it was frustrating for me because the money was going to go benefit the corporation, but it wasn't going to reflect on my store, and it was still going to show all his shrink and money that I lost.
Like it still hurt your score.
Which could affect
That's
bonuses.
So annoying.
And stuff like that.
So annoying.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but no, it was
learning opportunity.
It was a good learning opportunity, and I had really loyal employees because honestly, they were underpaid. They weren't paying them very well. That was one of the reasons why I left Payless, is because I was overworked and underpaid. I worked 4 weeks in a row without a day off, and when I did that, I was like, I'm done.
That's insane.
Is Payless still in business?
No, they went bankrupt a year and a half after I left, and people would ask me all the time, I was like, do you have any ideas? Like, I saw it coming a mile away.
You can see it when you're in the store. You can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, there in my opinion, they were too focused on the store of the future to care about the store of the present, and that was their big downfall. And I think you get a lot of businesses like that. They're so worried about, because you want to focus on the vision, you do want to go towards something, but if you're not taking care of what's there,
active steps,
you're going to lose it.
Like, did a Payless ever change ever?
I don't know.
They worked a few different store formats. For the most part, they were pretty consistent, but there was a store format that, had they rolled out more and gone to the bigger stores, I think it would have helped them out a lot. But they were actually getting ready to change the checkout, so they were getting rid of the checkout counter, and they just had people with tablets to go around and scan and check people out where they were in the store.
That sucks.
But they never.
I hated
as
that.
an employee, that would suck.
Yeah, they never rolled it out. As far as I know, they had some test markets, but I never saw it. So from there, I went
we can talk about
sales.
that forever. We've got
Right.
so many stories.
But I grew up with two passions: music from my mom and cars from my dad.
Okay.
And my dad loves muscle
here in
cars.
Idaho.
Here in Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually grew up. I grew up in St. Anthony.
Okay.
I live in Rigby now. My office is in Idaho Falls. But I went into car sales. I worked for CarMax. It was interesting. When I left insurance, there was a bunch of guys who'd come from car sales to insurance, and all of them said, "Don't go into car sales because you'll lose your soul." And I was like, "Okay. Thanks for the heads up." But I went to CarMax because I kept seeing these reviews that you won't lose your soul at CarMax.
When did you work at CarMax?
2015 to 18, somewhere around there. 2019. I'm trying to remember when I moved back to Idaho.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a great experience. I loved it. Very straightforward.
As a car salesman.
And it allowed me to be around cars, and I rejuvenated my education on there. But I got a lot of really great sales experience. I had an opportunity to mentor some new sales consultants as they came in as well. And I loved that opportunity. And then my he quit his business. He was in the IT industry for a long time, and his job had him on the road 40 weeks out of the year. And I was just doing a number on his health.
That's insane, because there's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah, he was gone all the time.
Yeah.
And we actually found out after he quit his job that at some point on the road he had a mild stroke.
Oh my God.
And we didn't even know about it until after he'd quit his job. But
like, he kept it secret, or he didn't even realize?
He didn't even know.
Oh.
He didn't find out until afterwards. He went in for some scans for something else.
He was that high stress where it didn't even seem out of the norm for him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So he went in to get something else checked out. They're like, you had a stroke.
This was an IT job?
This was an IT job. So he was a territorial manager for an IT company, and he went and visited all their clients basically in a certain area, and they kept expanding his area.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyways, his passion was always car restoration. So he walked away to open his own car restoration shop. And now he especially does custom interiors. He loves doing custom interiors. And he had a little used car lot on the side that he was trying to build. And I could see that everything was just so overwhelming to him that he couldn't keep up with it all. And so I went to my wife and I said, I think we need to come back to Idaho and help my dad with his business. And her family's from Utah. She's from Utah. And so that was a little nerve-wracking for her. But at some point, she's like, you know what? You're right. We need to come back to Idaho. It's a better environment. It's where we want to be. And we came back. His first year in business, working on cars, restoring some cars, doing some work here and there by himself. Occasionally hired someone to come in and help. A friend of mine from high school does body work and paint. And trying to sell some used cars. He sold about 5 used cars in his first year. And he was excited about it. Like he would talk about it. It's like, yeah, I sold 5 cars this year. And I came in and basically took over that and still helped him out with some stuff in the shop. And within a couple of years, we'd sold 55 cars. So we basically 11x'd his business in a couple of years by the time when I came up.
Because he was solo.
Yeah, he was essentially by himself.
Yeah.
And I helped bring in some more business to the shop. We were starting to get other stuff in. And, after doing that for a few years, I was like, I love working on cars, but I don't want to do it every day. It needs to be more of a side thing for me. He can still keep doing that. And I still go help him out with his shop every once in a while. But
At
I decided,
least you know that.
Yeah,
You're like, I can
before it was too late.
move along.
Yes. and I was like, and I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. I was like, and I was thinking about different jobs I could apply for. And someone who had mentored me and I'd gotten to know in the past, a man by the name of Kirk Duncan. He has a company called 3 Key Elements down in Utah, does training and coaching. He was doing a webinar talking about his coaching business. And I was like, oh, I'll attend Kirk's webinar. Maybe he's looking to hire some people that are remote and I can work for him here up in Idaho. Was kind of the hope when I saw the webinar. And in the webinar, he said, it's time for you to start your coaching business. And it just kind of hit me as like, that's what I've always wanted to do. It is time. And I stopped with the excuses. I finally said, I'm doing my coaching business. I called a couple people and I said, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I need some feedback, some thoughts. What do you think I should look at?
Yeah.
And then one of those people is actually, I sent a message into Kirk because his company was actually doing a program to help people start their coaching business. And I trust Kirk and I know he's a good guy and I trust his program. So I signed up for that and I actually talked to his son and got some information with that. And then I signed up for the program. And it's just been a great experience ever since.
Did you just find it online? How did you already know about the program?
So he talked about it in the webinar, and there was a link in the webinar that sent us to it.
Right.
But if you went to his website, you could find it as well. The program is called Coach Fast Track, and you get licensed to teach some of his courses, which I use some of his courses in my mentoring.
That's cool
because they're fantastic. He's been doing it for 18 years.
Good credible source.
Yeah, he's an amazing resource. And it's funny because I remember all the doubts that I had when I was in college. Why I couldn't do this, that, and the other. I wasn't studying business or da-da-da. He barely graduated high school. He didn't go to college. He maybe had a mediocre sales career when he decided to do this. And now he's got this amazing coaching business that he's built. And so he's become a big inspiration for me because I feel like I'm set up even a little bit better than he was when he started, and he's doing this well now. So
for sure,
because you're always fighting that imposter syndrome. You're always fighting that negative self-talk.
Yeah.
And that's actually become a big focus of when I'm doing one-on-one mentoring. I work with a lot of people on overcoming that and on dealing with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So from like the business standpoint, since you are buying a course that someone else could buy, do you like have a specialty that you have honed in on or anything to like separate yourself? Or is it just that there's enough businesses out there and
right.
there's enough?
So the nice thing about the course that I purchased from him is they're core principles, they're general principles that you can cater to whatever focus you want to go on. And I kind of have a couple of different focuses. I know people say, well, you should have one. When I'm working with businesses and say I'm trying to come in and do trainings with businesses, communication is a big one for me. I feel like communication is becoming a lost art.
Huge.
Seriously, though. Yeah.
For sure.
Sometimes with the older generation.
Yes.
Certain people are more receptive to communication than others.
Yes, for sure. and it's interesting because I approach it from two areas. Because I mostly approach it from a sales standpoint.
Yeah.
Of if you're communicating, if you're connecting with your customers better, it's going to increase your sales. It's going to increase their loyalty. And I'm a certified DISC behavioral consultant. I don't know if you guys are familiar with DISC, but it's basically a personality profile. And once you identify your personality profile, you can figure out how people can communicate to you better, and also how you communicate.
For sure.
I haven't done DISC, but I've definitely done
like the personality,
a few different personality
profile.
profiles.
There's multiple of them out there. Yeah.
They're fun to see.
DISC is one of the more common ones. It's pretty commonly accepted. A lot of businesses use it. I'll have people who use it. They'll do DISC assessments with it when they're getting ready to hire people.
Cool. I like that.
So that way they can see. So for example, I was just talking to a guy, a friend of mine. He was getting ready to hire a couple people, and he was trying to identify their DISC personalities, and I was helping him out with it. And then I helped him figure out questions he needed to ask them in their next interview to make sure that they were the right fit for the job. Like, okay, if they have this personality profile, they may struggle communicating to people. So you need to talk to them about this if this is what their job's going to be. And so it's nice to be able to have that information so you can make sure you're hiring the right person. John Maxwell.
I like that. Knowing from the get-go.
Exactly.
Like,
Because you can ask all the right questions in an interview and they can give you all the right answers because they prep for it. But if you just do a simple personality test, it's just a generalized thing and they can't really hide behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps you figure out, by knowing their personality, it helps you figure out what you really need to be asking.
Because with the personalities, there's no right answer. Like every single personality trait has cons and pros to it. So it's like, it doesn't matter. You could fake it to be a different one, but you're still going to have feedback that's given to you and things to work on. It's like,
And I tell people that too, is like any personality profile can technically do any job, but there's red flags that you need to be aware of. You need to make sure you're asking those questions to make sure they're still capable of doing that job with that personality profile. You know, if you want someone, for example, like an I personality, someone who's very outgoing and they're very talkative and they like socializing with people, but if you lock them up in a room and give them processes, they tend to be a little more disorganized and they might struggle with that. So if you have an I personality who's struggling to be, say, an accountant, you need to make sure that as you're asking them the right questions. Are you okay with, you know, what can we do to make sure you get your socialization in, but you can still sit down and get this job done? You know, what are the things you do to help you stay organized? Because I personalities are more disorganized typically. So how do you stay organized? How do you overcome that? And just making sure that you're asking the right questions based on their personality can be a big deal when you're hiring them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I do this with sales teams too, is I teach them how to identify other people's personality styles. So when you're trying to sell something, you can cater your sales pitch based on what their personality is as well.
Which is great because then it takes away the judgment of like working with someone based off looks or just initial opinions, and you're really just going off of their core principles, and it's like, it's just easier to communicate. And
and it's a great one for like technician teams, because technicians typically are not wired for sales. So like I got one company that's hiring me to come in to do training with their tech teams. It's an HVAC company.
Okay.
And HVAC guys, they're the more of those technical
and they want the
processes.
techs to do the sales.
And they got, you know, the techs don't always have to do all the sales, but sometimes they have to do upsells, or there's a product recommendation that they have to make at the moment.
Just communication.
Yeah. And so, you know, I work with these tech people who are typically aren't wired for sales to help them learn a little bit more about sales.
Totally.
Okay. So that's probably a pretty fun meeting when you walk into like a group of guys who just they don't
so
give a
uncomfortable
shit, and they like just are like so confident in their job, could care less about being the salesman. Like, how do you get them convinced? Like, are there jobs on the line? Do they just like have to get better at it? Like, you know, like how do you get them to care?
So it's all about finding the motivation. So what I do when I go into a company is I do an initial discovery appointment. It's the same thing that I do with a person when they want to work with me as a mentor. Is I do an initial discovery appointment. I don't charge them for it. If the company wants me to travel somewhere, then maybe I might, you know, charge them for it. But most parts in Eastern Idaho, I've been up to St. Anthony and down to Pocatello, and I haven't charged for these initial discovery appointments. But I'll come in and part of that discovery appointment is to discover what it is that's motivating them. What is it they're working on? What are their goals? And so, for example, with this HVAC company, they wanted to sell more spiffs. And if they could increase their spiffs, they got commission off of those. And so finding that motivation, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to come up with a training course to help you increase your spiffs. So that way your commissions go up. And we even talked about this, like, and I don't like to focus on the money itself. I like to focus on what it is that they're going to do with that money.
The actionable steps.
Yes. Yeah. So I asked them, I was like, okay, if you sell, you know, if you get an extra, say $200 in spiffs every month, what are you going to do with that extra $200? Oh, well, I'm going to take my wife out on an extra nice meal or something. Or, you know, it's what are they going to get out of that?
Reframe it.
Yeah. And whenever I'm talking about long-term vision, or whenever I'm talking about what people want to do, I say your answer can't be a net worth or amount of money you're making. It can't be a physical attribute like I lost 100 pounds, and it can't be a career path. What I want to know is what are those things going to do for you?
Literally.
Yeah. Why do you want to lose that 100 pounds? Why do you want that career path? Because that's not the destination you're going for. If all you want is money, then you're going to sell your soul. You're going to, you know, let go of your core values for that money.
Not have fun.
Yeah. But if you want that money to improve your life, to improve your family, then you're going to stay focused on those core values of my family is important. My,
Sure.
serving and being charitable is important.
Yeah.
No,
So one thing
I agree.
I would say I like about your business coaching is that we've heard from others where it'll be like the leader having problems communicating with their employees. But I like that yours is focusing on like kind of customer service and like their interactions with the customers. Because I've also noticed that.
You were just talking about that the other day. We were walking around downtown and like, no offense to like, and not every downtown shop, but a majority, like,
there's no customer service. There's just like
you go to
our
city.
level of like, because we worked in like for Abercrombie and Hollister, so we had like big corporate training, like expectations and like
where you have to talk to every customer that comes there, at least acknowledge them and, talk about sales and things like that. And you walk around the stores down here, like you walk in and it's just silent.
And then just being like as a store manager, so like that was our job to make sure that the employees did it. So I'm walking in, I'm like, who's not doing their job? Who's not greeting the customers?
But it's surprising how when it's not addressed, it just doesn't happen.
It's not a focus. It's literally not.
It takes so much follow up to like make sure someone's doing that consistently, which is hard for the manager.
It does.
Like I get it, but it's important.
And part of it comes back to that hiring process too.
Yeah.
Is you got to make sure that there's someone who understands that it's their job to contact people. If you're hiring someone who's just coming in for the paycheck, again, they're focused on the money. They're not there focused on the service. They're not going to take care of things. And so you got to be able to find people like, look, we want you to come in here because you want to help people. Your primary objective is to help people, is to add value to people. Like I look at that with my business. So when I do the free coaching appointment, for example, I tell people I am trying to sell you a coaching program, but that's my secondary objective. My primary objective is to add value to your life. 100%. And if I can't add value to your life in this appointment, you shouldn't hire me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that should be the primary objective, is adding value to people.
Yeah. It's like, how can I help you grow?
Yeah.
Like we talk about, we're like, our business is helping you get business. So it's like, that's you. Like my job is helping you get more business. Like we're growing together.
Exactly. I will never half-ass it because it has to be great.
Like literally though.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is we need to be trying to give more value, as we possibly can, oversell, over serve, if you will, based on what we're selling. And that's one thing that I find as I look at successful businesses, as I look at successful coaches, because I studied and talked to a lot of successful coaches when I was getting started. I love reading biographies. Those are something that I like learning about successful people, and they all give. I mean, that's just a consistent attribute. The overwhelming majority of them are charitable. The overwhelming majority of them want to serve and they want to help people. And it's, we often look at it, oh yeah, they can donate money, this, that, or the other, but it's not even just that. They're just there to give, and they help their employees. Yeah. One of the things one of my mentors taught me when it comes to money, it's really important because a lot of people look at money as I want to get money and I need to hold on to money and I need to save money. And I get this image every time I hear someone talk like that. I think of Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales swimming in his vault of money. And I'm like, these people have the wrong attitude. Money is something, he taught me, money is something that's supposed to flow through you. You're supposed to be a river, not a dam. And that when you get money, it's also to bless and help other people. And you can invest, investing in businesses, investing in the stock market helps build other businesses. Even, investing in real estate and having rental properties, be a good landlord and take care of the people who are going to be running out your property. Like you can take that money and you don't hoard it. You let it flow through you to build the people around you.
Yeah.
I was at a conference last week. So my wife and I are wellness advocates with doTERRA as well. I don't know if you're familiar with doTERRA, but it's a wellness company. They do essential oils and vitamins and things like that. Gotcha. And at the conference we went to last week, they were talking about some of the trees that they harvest some oils from. And the way the tree systems work is the roots will actually interlock and combine and they will nourish each other. And I kind of thought that, and it's interesting because in the redwood forest,
the analogy of
that. Even in the redwood forest, those redwood trees do the same thing, and it's they're nourishing each other. They're not hoarding the nutrients, because if they do that, everything around them is going to become barren.
Totally.
And eventually they're going to get dried up too, and they're going to run out. And so it's that flow back and forth of adding value to each other. And not only that, it creates balance within our lives, because if I'm giving you a service, if I'm helping you with something, and I'm not getting anything in return, it creates an imbalance in our 100%. Relationship. And you run into a lot of people like that, especially, and I tend to notice this more with women, but it does happen with men too. But a lot of times as women become coaches, like I am, because I've interacted with a lot of coaches, they struggle with charging because they're so, they want to help people and they're so serviceable. Men are a little more greedy, I guess, but women are just so nice. Like, oh, I feel bad charging for helping people. I was like, no, you're creating an imbalance in your relationship, because eventually if you keep doing that, you're going to get frustrated and upset and hate
It's
them
important
because you're not getting anything back.
I think people, they do it a little bit and then they learn. They're like, okay, that actually kind of bit me in the ass a little bit, and now I regret everything. It's like, we'll keep things at arm's length.
Yeah.
We're good here.
Yeah, for sure.
The happy medium.
So you do a lot with like new hires, it sounds like, and like teaching people how to bring in the right people. Do you find you ever have businesses that just are toxic, and like how do you get those people out? You know, have you had those kinds of problems yet?
I haven't dealt with a lot of that yet.
That's good.
Most of the people, most of the clients I've worked with so far are solopreneurs, and I'm just trying to help them get to the point where they're starting to hire people.
Okay.
I do have some businesses that are smaller businesses that have like 3 and 4 and 5 employees. So far, all
so they don't have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, okay.
Hopefully.
Sure. Yeah, right.
I mean, there's still always going to be hard lessons that you're going to figure out. And there's, even I don't know 100% of everything with hiring. I'm still
always
figuring things
learning.
out.
For sure.
But hiring is something that's important to me. Job creation. I think job creation is one of the most important things you can do with your life. I actually have a book idea that I'm in the process of writing one book now. And then I have a couple other books that I want to write. And one of them is actually going to be about job creation.
Yeah. Wow.
In fact, my wife and I, we co-authored a book. That's
Already?
Well,
That's cool.
We haven't published it yet. We're in the process of trying to publish it.
Is that hard?
It's
like the publishing process.
It's not what I expected it to be. It's more of a wait, because we submitted it to one publishing company, and I didn't think about submitting it to multiple until after they rejected us, after waiting almost 7 or 8 months for a response.
Like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah. And
I
so I was
can
like,
send it to everybody.
I should just do that. And actually, I was thinking if they rejected it, I'm going to self-publish it and then submit it to some other publishing companies. And then before I self-published it, one of the publishing companies was like, and if you self-publish it, we won't look at it. I'm like, okay.
Double-edged sword.
I'd kind of rather have you do that. But this next book I'm writing, I'll probably just self-publish it, just because it's for one of my programs. It's to help to advertise one of my programs. Sure. But it's one of my target demographics I really want to work with. I talk about solopreneurs and small business owners, but I really want to work with young adults.
Okay.
I refer to them as the rising generation of leaders.
Okay.
But I'm building an online course, and one of my keynote presentations is actually based on this too. And I'm writing a book to go along with it called Boss Level Adulting.
Okay. And
it's basically, I go back to where I was at in college and that negative self-talk and those doubts and the things I didn't know. It's 8 lessons based on what I wished I had known at that moment.
Sure.
And if I had known those things, I could have gotten an earlier start. I could have overcome that shoulder devil, if you will.
Okay.
And I think that there's so many, I believe that this rising generation of leaders, these young adults, they have the potential to be the next greatest generation.
For sure.
I think
they're stacked the deck with all the technology, every resource they've got.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the things that kind of makes me unique is because there's a lot of people who have very pessimistic views about them. They think they're lazy. They don't know how to communicate. And while there could be some truth to that, there's some truth to that in every generation.
That is person to person.
Seriously.
That is not generation to generation.
And so I think that's one of the things that makes me a little bit more unique with them is I actually do believe in them. I actually know that they can get there. And so that's why this course is where I'm starting out. And my hope is I can go from this course. I want to make this course available at no cost eventually. I even set up a crowdfund out there that if I can crowdfund $1 million for this course, I will make it free forever.
Wow.
Because that'll give me enough money to be able to build it, to record it, to do all the things I want to set up online, host it. And it'll also give me some money to start investing in my next program that will keep bringing money in so I can keep funding that forever.
Yeah. So do you have a social media presence then? Because for getting that much, like you're targeting the younger generation, and that's probably where they're at, is like on social media.
Yeah. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to post at least daily. Some weeks I'm doing way better than others.
Sure.
I started off on Instagram and Facebook just because I felt like, that's where I was. And so I figured there'd be people there. And as I've interacted with young adults and college students, everyone says you need to be on TikTok.
I was going to say TikTok for that generation, like the college kids probably.
So I've tend to focus more on TikTok lately, and I'm doing more on TikTok. Pretty simple reels. What I do is I just post a quote. It's usually a daily thought, a quote, and then my thoughts around that quote. Maybe an experience or something to share with that.
Like a business focused or leadership focused.
Yeah, something business or leadership. A lot of it tends to be mindset focused.
Okay.
But yeah, different things like
getting
that.
your niche kind of on there of this business.
Exactly.
Okay.
And every once in a while I'll talk about some of the programs. I'll post links of, if you want to set up a free appointment, here's my link. If you want to, know more about the online course that I'm building, I mentioned with the crowdfunding, anyone who donates at least $10 gets early access to that online course as I'm putting stuff out. I'm still in the process of posting the first modules, but as I'm rolling stuff out, you get to see them first. And there's also a spot where you can give me feedback because I want to make sure they're as clear and effective as possible. If I'm not stating something clearly, I need to know that, because what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get basically a rough draft of everything posted.
Yeah.
And then once I have everything out there and I've taken some of the feedback, I'm just going to spend a day or two and re-record everything and make it kind of a final draft.
That's cool. That's a cool method to do it.
Yeah.
To like build it with the people who are actively kind of learning from it.
Yeah.
Because you do something, you work so hard on it, and then you're like, wow, I could change 3 sentences there and it's completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or sometimes my stories might ramble on too long, and so I just need someone to say, hey,
shut up.
and cut it down. Yeah, for sure.
So, okay. In a world, I guess it's kind of like social media, but I was going to say in a world where there's other coaches and things like that, like what do you do to stand out?
Definitely the fact that I focus a little bit more on those solopreneurs and the smaller businesses. A lot of people, I remember talking to one coach who told me, like, if you don't have, or I can't remember what exactly she said, but if you don't have an annual revenue of X, I'm not even going to talk to you. And so it's, they're, and I don't fault them for that, because they're, they have their business and they know that if you have X revenue, odds are you can afford them.
And you've probably gone through the growing pains to get there that maybe they don't want to deal with, or
exactly.
Just different level of business.
But I think that's part of it, is I'm willing to work with those solopreneurs and those smaller businesses that some people might not be.
Sure.
The fact that I focus so much on communication, I think, is a big one as well. A lot of people are focused on just leadership or just X, Y, or Z.
Totally.
And
the leadership is everywhere.
It is everywhere. And where I decided to focus on more communication. I know there's other disc consultants out there, but I think the way I teach it is different. I teach it especially focused on connecting with your customers and sales. Most people that teach disc, it's all about, you need to know yourself, which, you need to know what your personality profile is, and you need to share it with others so they know how to communicate to you. But what I'm teaching is more of, you need to know yours. You also need to be able to identify others so you can figure out how to communicate to them. Yeah. And I try to make it more of a, once you know yourself, let's spread it out to other people.
It was funny. I remember the last time we did one of those personality quizzes. I did it twice just to see what would happen, and like intentionally tried to answer just a little different, and I still got the same thing at the end. Right. Like it still like kind of all came back because it asked different questions after I answered differently. And then like it was just funny how it was like, I guess so. I guess it is me.
Right. For sure. And I guess one other unique thing that I do is most people just do coaching. And there's a difference between coaching and mentoring. Coaching is when you're coming in and you're teaching a skill and you're just teaching a course. Mentoring is more about self-discovery, where you're asking the right questions. And especially with my one-on-one clients, I try to do a combination of both. So, for example, you have a 2-hour appointment with me. The first hour is about teaching that skill. Okay. And then the second hour, we turn around and we focus on you and, what are your mental blocks? And it's more of that self-discovery. Oh, okay. And I try to do a combination of both. I don't try to just stick to just coaching or just mentoring. I think they both have their place.
That's true. It's within themselves a lot of the times also that the problems can be.
You can come in and teach them all sorts of stuff, but if they're not convinced that it's the right thing to do, they're not going to do it. And the best way to convince them is have them come up with it.
Totally.
Right? Like make them have the thought.
Yeah, exactly.
So for your onboarding and you working with your clients, you said you meet with some of them one-on-one Zoom meetings. How does that literally look?
So most of my clients prefer to meet online.
Okay.
Which is nice because I can meet with clients from anywhere in the world. My very first client is actually the first paid client I got. She's from Texas.
Nice.
She's been my client for almost a year and a half now.
How'd she find you?
We knew each other in college.
Okay.
So she was a friend. Though. Yeah, I just posted something online that I was starting my business, and she's actually a wellness coach. She does personal training and nutritional coaching.
Okay.
And she says, I could use some input and ideas, and I'll sign up for your program.
That's cool.
And one of the things why she likes it and she stuck around is because she got grandfathered in at a certain price, and as my prices have gone up for her loyalty, I let her stay at that price. So I think that's part of why she likes it. She doesn't want to lose that.
Sure.
But
it's been beneficial for her then.
It's been absolutely been beneficial for her, and it's interesting because, and I see this with most of my clients, is kind of this roller coaster of up and down trying to figure things out. Totally. But a lot of it is gaining that clarity of what she's wanted to do with her business, and she's visionary people like her and like myself even, and I'm sure you guys are the same way. You get tons and tons of ideas,
a million ideas,
and you just need help filtering it down to the most important. This is something I learned. Yes, this is something I learned working with my dad. Is every other day he came, he's like, I got this idea of how we can make more money and we can do this, and I'm like, great. This is what we want to do though. Why don't we stick with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be really easy to get excited about new ideas, especially when you're like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
I think over time it's like at least our ideas have gotten from like, because we're the same way, just ADHD thinking of business ideas, and they've just gotten
great
more,
ideas,
I would say, realistic. Like you have one idea and you do all the research and you're like, awesome idea, but that's going to take 200K to start. So, and then like, a month later it's another idea, and then you like think about things differently. And I think as long as you just like keep thinking and keep like trying to improve and not just coming up with like continuously stupid ideas, like
Exactly.
like improve on like what your last thought was, then it's probably a healthy mindset.
Yeah.
But if not, it's probably
realistic
really
about what you can
damaging
do.
to your productivity.
Right.
If you're
Well,
just-
and that's the thing, like envisioning things and coming up with ideas, especially as a business leader, is important.
yeah.
And it's something you should do. But you also, it's good to have a second person there who can say, yeah, we're not going to do that now.
Don't confuse everyone.
Yes. But it's great. You figure out what those ideas are, and eventually the more you get it, the more you work it, you
Yeah.
can figure out, okay, this one's not a good idea, or especially like I say, if you have someone else giving you feedback, let's not do that. Or this is one for further down the road. Like one of the ideas that I've had that I really want to do is I want to create I call it the Millionaires Book Club.
Mhm.
And it's basically a book club where you read books based on building an abundance mindset.
Okay.
And
I'm sure people would do that,
Yeah.
even if you just had a TikTok channel, just
Right.
following that.
well, and I keep thinking it's a great idea, but I have so many other things that I'm putting priority before. I
It's all
told
time.
myself, I'm going to do this, but this is for down the road.
Mhm.
And so I just kind of create that list of these are the things I'm going to come back to. It's still good. It's still going to be important. It's still going to help my business, but I need to get this done first. I need to create
Sure.
this online course or write this book first.
Yeah.
And then I can start working on that. I need to, and then honestly, part of it too is I need to get my business to where I've hired a couple people myself.
Literally.
So they can take away some of that, they can maintain my website and they can do some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually trying to get an intern right now that can help me out with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
But
Yeah.
and it's interesting because that's one thing I run into a lot with a lot of
Time-consuming.
a lot of entrepreneurs really struggle with wanting to hire people. And then for me, it's a little bit weird because I really want to hire people. That was one of the reasons why I got motivated to start a business is I want to get to the point where I'm hiring people and I want to create jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But you get some of the entrepreneurs that are so worried about relinquishing some of that control,
Yeah.
letting go of some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
It's then now that your next job, the training and hiring the next people.
yeah, yeah. And that's exactly why I talked to them when I tried to come in. I was like, okay, we got to teach you how to overcome that, that negative mindset of, I can't let go of control this. I need to be able to control that
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to burn your business to the ground by overworking
Yeah.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
It's just not going to work out.
Yeah.
So how do you manage your work-life balance since you have so many projects and ideas?
Yeah, it can be a bit of a
I
challenge.
know
and
you have
it's-
at least one child.
Yes. So I brought my son Joseph with me today. One thing that I try to do, and it's kind of nice, and I've been doing this ever since I was working, even before when I was working car sales. One of the nice things when I was at CarMax is I could make plenty of commission only working 5 days a week. I worked 45 hours a week, and it was great. It'd been a while since I had a job where I got 2 days off every week.
Oh my gosh, that's
Not enough.
Not enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was great because when I started doing that, I would instigate what I call daddy days, and once a week I would take one of my kids out to a movie or to do something fun.
Yeah.
On that day off. Now that I'm self-employed, it gets a little bit crazier, and so I still do
Yeah.
those.
Now, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you manage your schedule since now it's you're your own boss?
Yeah, so
You can decide.
I bring them to work with me. And
Great.
so even when I was working with my dad at the shop, they loved to go to the shop.
Uh-huh.
My two older boys, they're 13 and 10,
Mhm.
and they're really into tools. They like building things. So
It's a perfect age for that.
yeah, it is. A couple years ago, I actually told my oldest son that we were going to hire him to come just do little things in
I love
in
it.
the shop. And I bought him a toolbox and a small toolkit. And his first assignment was just to put it all together. And he was just happy as a clam all day, just putting that together. Like they're really into that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. My son Joseph is here with me today. He knows, he's already told us many times that in his birthday this year,
Mhm.
he's getting a toolbox because he'll be 11, just like his brother was when he got his toolbox.
I
And
love
so
it.
He's pretty excited
That's
about it.
great. That's exciting. So just bring him to work.
Yeah, bring him to
Make
work is
them
part of it.
Be a part of your life.
We, sometimes my wife is a nail tech,
Okay.
and she teaches night classes at a cosmetology school in
Cool.
Idaho Falls. And so sometimes it's kind of forced that I have to be there to watch the kids because she's working
Yes.
too. But
Yes.
at the same time, it helps out. We find common, like TV shows or movies that everyone likes. We'll sit down and watch them all together.
Mhm.
We just watched the whole Avengers series of movies. And,
That's a
and
lot of movies
It
to
is.
catch up on.
It took a long time.
Oh
Took
my
a little while to
goodness.
get through, but we had a good time with that.
It's a lot.
And Yeah, one thing is Sundays, we try to keep Sundays as work free as possible. And in the summers, we'll do a campfire. We'll go to a campfire, we'll roast hot dogs and do s'mores. And if the weather's bad or, during the winter, we have a family game night and we rotate who picks the game. And so that's a big important part.
Yeah.
My
kids, a set schedule of
Yeah.
family game night.
It's funny. I grew
love
up
it.
with a family where we did big Sunday dinners. My wife did not. And somehow my wife won over that we don't do big Sunday dinners, like the roasting the hot dogs. And honestly, I prefer it more. I like it more. And when we play games, we would just eat popcorn most of the time, popcorn and smoothies. And my kids love it. They look forward to it. They love it when it's their turn to pick a game. And
That's sweet.
Sometimes it takes a while to convince them not to pick Monopoly, but
We're like, we don't want to do this tonight.
It's like our daughter trying to get her to watch anything but Sesame Street.
This
Right.
one
Like,
episode of
please
Sesame
watch
Street.
anything else. Nope. Yeah, that's a specific episode.
Do you have the electronic credit card, like Life and Monopoly?
we don't. I've seen
That might
it.
change your life a little bit
Yeah.
if you want to play Monopoly.
I might have to try that out.
It's pretty fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we
It's
actually got
different.
the
like I hide
Idaho
the Monopoly.
Don't talk about Monopoly.
But yeah, we got the Idaho version. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's an Idaho-opoly or something. I forget
Cool.
what it's called. It's got different places in Idaho that get a kick out of that.
That's fun.
We talk about one of my big goals in our family that we really want to do is I want to build this business so I can work anywhere on the road.
Yeah.
And we actually want to pack up our family into a camper
Okay.
and
Nice.
just spend a year traveling across the country.
That'd be really
working
cool.
from anywhere.
It would be fun.
Like at least for a year.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
not forever.
Yeah, I
But
think
that
a year
sounds
would be
fun.
just about right.
That'd be great.
It's funny because when I pitched it to my wife, because we homeschool, and I pitched it to my wife, and she's like, "That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. There's no way I would ever do that." And a couple days later, we had a homeschooling group of moms that get together with their kids. She's like, "My husband had the craziest idea the other day," and she told him about it. And two of the ladies like, "We just got back from doing that. It was the most amazing experience in our lives." And all of a sudden, my wife came back to me like, "I think we should do this." And I'm like,
Perfect.
"Told you."
Are you gonna get like an RV or like a Sprinter?
We'll probably get
Trailer.
a bumper pole trailer.
Okay.
That way we have a vehicle we can still drive around as we're going to places. Just park the trailer somewhere.
Nice.
No, that
That's
would be
fun.
really cool. That'd
Yeah.
be fun. So that's good. You can balance your life there because being able to work anywhere is like
Mhm.
key right now. Not
Yeah.
having to go into like a 9 to 5 and clock in and out.
For sure.
Blech.
Yeah.
Ew, I do not want to do that right now. Okay, so
Yeah,
do you
sounds
have any
hard.
advice for someone who's wanting to pursue their own passion or career?
So much.
So much.
So much. One of the first things that I talk to people about is rebuilding their integrity with a daily routine. So when we don't follow through on our commitments, it hurts our integrity, right? And the closer the person is to us, say a family member or even ourselves, when we fall through on a commitment for ourselves, it can be even more damaging to us.
Interesting. Okay.
But the interesting thing, what's really interesting about it is we will work harder to follow through on a commitment with someone we barely
For
even
someone
know,
else. Yeah. Literally.
rather than for ourselves.
Uh-huh.
And our subconscious has this ability to hide this damage from us so it's not constantly tearing us down.
Mm-hmm.
But it can build up. It can cause mental illness. It can cause depression. It can can be pretty damaging. And one of the things I talk to people about is setting up a daily routine to help rebuild that integrity. But it also can teach them to give themselves grace when something falls through the cracks. And so, for example, I tell them we're going to pick 4 things. And I like Stephen Covey's sharpening the saw. There's 4 different areas. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But it's like spiritual, physical, intellectual, and relationship.
Okay.
And so these are the 4 categories. So pick one thing you can do in your daily routine that's a little more spiritual. It could be meditating. It could be praying. It could be reading a Bible verse.
Journaling or
Journaling.
something.
Absolutely. Journaling could be it. And then find something that's physical. It could be exercise. It could be taking vitamins. It could be eating better, going to bed at a certain time, and so on and so forth through all 4 of those categories. And then you create a list and you check it off when you complete it.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I always encourage people, recap your day. And if there's something on that list that you didn't check off, a lot of times when we don't do something that we committed to, we'll just drop and say, well, I give up and let it go.
Yeah, whatever.
And you need to take a look at that and you say, you know what? I missed that. I'm not going to beat myself up for it. It's okay. And I'm going to create a plan to do better tomorrow. And that's where you're really building that integrity is, okay, I'm making a plan so I don't screw up again. I don't hurt myself. I don't fall through on my commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at people who set New Year's resolutions every year and 2 weeks later, they've already failed them.
Yeah.
And because they fell off the horse once, they just walk away from them.
Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Next
and so
year.
using that routine and recapping it consistently is, you know what? I can still do it. I don't have to give up now. I don't have to walk away from
You can
it.
restart every day.
And it's that awareness that usually when you start building that routine, on day 1, you're super excited. You're going to get it done. Day 2, you're still excited about it. Day 3, you're feeling really good. And by day 4, it's like,
Literally.
That's usually how it happens by day 4 is when most people will start dropping it. And so if you're creating that awareness, John Maxwell talks about the law of awareness, and you have to know yourself to grow yourself, and creating that awareness that you're letting this fall through the crack, but you don't have to, and you can create a plan to keep it going. I find that as you build better routines, you're building your ability to trust yourself more to get things done. You're building your ability, you're increasing your integrity with yourself, and then you're going to start following through more with your commitments on your family, and you're going to start following through on commitments more with other people. And so getting started, I really feel a daily routine is a secret to building success. It's not the big things that happen every once in a while. It's the little things you do every day.
Oh, I like that. That is important.
Yeah.
Do you start by just like writing everything down, or like what is like the first step of someone trying to do that, rebuild their integrity of doing everything every day?
So, because you don't want to do too many things. Because you'll overwhelm yourself pretty quick. And so it depends on the person and what they're working on. Like if they're already getting up and exercising and eating right, then we talk about maybe how to develop better sleep habits, maybe turning off screens an hour before they go to bed.
Okay.
Something along those lines.
So you just remember.
Yeah. So
you need to turn off your phone before you go to bed.
Well, and I'd have you write it down. So I with my clients, I actually give them a paper that's got 4 weeks worth of routine stuff.
Okay.
And you pick stuff. What do you want in the AM and what do you want in the PM?
Okay.
So you can divide it up. You don't have to do it that way, but it's kind of a nice way. A lot of people, like, it gives you a deadline to all this stuff needs to be done by noon.
Sure. Okay.
And then for me, actually, the planner I use has a checklist that I can put in there. So I put my daily routine in my planner, and each night when I recap my day and I prep for my next day.
Yeah.
Because that helps me be more
Mentally
efficient.
prepare,
Yeah. And I just go through like, okay, these are the things I got done, and this is what I didn't do. What am I going to do tomorrow to accomplish it? Sure. Because even though I'm preaching the daily routine, I'm still working on it. I'm still improving my daily routine. It's a constant, ongoing process that never ends. But because I have it written down, it's that visual. I can read it. I can see it there. I'm constantly reminded of it. Yeah. And yeah.
Hold yourself accountable to do that.
Isn't it? They say something like, if it's a goal not written down, it's just that. It's a goal, not a plan.
It's like a dream.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
I like that.
You want to have it written down. In fact, one of the big things I'm really big on is vision boards too.
I was going to ask you about that. I felt like you would like a New Year's vision board.
I do. I love vision boards. And one of the big things I tell people with vision boards too is you have to have images and words.
Okay.
And the reason why you want to do that is because they activate different parts of your brain. So the images will activate one part, and the words will activate another. And it's kind of that, you hear people refer to it as masculine and feminine energy. And I had a coach talk to me refer to it this way. And I really like that, because the way he put it is you need to you need masculine and feminine in order to create. And so you're engaging both of those energies to help you generate ideas, to help you create those thoughts and the things you need to do. Yeah. And so whenever I talk to people about vision boards, I said, don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah. We don't have to go get glitter.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, the only way to improperly do a vision board is not do it at all. But I always encourage people have images and words, because that's going to help you create more.
I like that. I always, like this last New Year's, I so badly wanted to just like collect all of our magazines and make a vision board. I didn't do it. I think because I wanted other people to do it with me. Yeah. And I couldn't get other people to do it with me.
One thing that I find fun with it is I'll go on Canva and I'll like impose pictures. Like, so like for our camping trip, I took a picture of a trail that would be fun to go hike on. Okay. And I superimposed a family photo of us on that trail. Cute. And finding fun ways to put it together, like, to me, that's fun. Like, for other people, cutting it out of a magazine is fun. Some people, my older son, he likes to draw, so we've had him draw stuff for his vision board.
No, it's great. Whatever's
going to make it exciting for you.
Just like forcing that process of thinking it through, and
it's like just dreaming and manifesting what you want, like goal setting.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so where can people find you if they want to learn some more?
So my website is thebassictrainer.com. And remember, it's basic with 2 S's, BASSIC. Thebassictrainer.com. You can go on there. You can schedule. I need to update it a little bit. I still have, I did a leadership conference with Brian Magaby at the Innovation Center. It's still on there. The conference is over, so I need to update that. But there's a link to my calendar where you can book a free appointment.
Okay.
If you're interested in me coming in and doing a training with your company or with your team,
Yeah.
you can email me at lawrence@thebassictrainer.com. I'm also would love to, like, trade schools and even high schools. I have a presentation, my boss level adulting presentation, a keynote presentation. I'll come in and do that for
That's
free
a
at a
great
lot of
idea.
local
I
schools.
like that.
I've done it at a few trade schools.
Cool.
And so that's something that I love to connect with
Yeah, that's cool.
teachers and,
That's great.
and schools and whatnot to be able to come in and do that. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. It was great to meet you and learn more about your business.
Yeah,
thank you for
it
letting
was
me be
awesome.
here. I appreciate it. It was
Yeah.
great.
If you've made it this far, please like, subscribe, follow, rate 5 stars. It means so much to us. And then let's see, this podcast will be out in 3 weeks.
Something like that.
So
I
I
think the
think-
Halloween contest is probably going to be coming.
Yes. So
to
we
an
have a
end,
Halloween
so-
film contest.
Yeah.
We'll have to tell you about that a little bit more after that or
Yeah.
after we're done.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
we
what is
should be-
today? What is today's date?
Today's the 24th.
Let me look.
So the film
Just so we
contest
know.
starts on October 1st, and it's an amateur film contest. So you could do it with your. You could shoot it
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
your
this will actually be
kids.
the last
There we go.
week I think that you can enter because you have to submit on the 18th by
Yeah.
midnight. So
Mhm.
when this comes out, I think on the 14th.
Like, make sure to get
One
your
more week.
submissions in.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then since it'll be submission time, we have a viewing party that everyone is invited to. So it's kind of a community fundraiser. The tickets are $5 plus donations if you want, because it's going to the animal shelter.
Going to the Snake River
Shelter.
Animal Shelter.
Yes. And it's going to be the top 10 films from the whole contest. And so it'll be a live viewing party. And then everyone in person will judge who our crowd favorite is.
Okay.
And there'll be Chick-fil-A. What?
What my kids are going to want to know is there going to be animals there.
No. I know.
Kids are obsessed.
Petting zoo at the film contest.
We got them shirts that say, "Can I pet your dog?"
That's so funny. No, there won't be.
I like that though. I pet every dog I see.
Right.
He does.
Right.
Though.
But yeah, no,
Okay.
the show, we picked the top 10, watch them. It's like an hour and a half long event. Everyone gets a Chick-fil-A sandwich because they're sponsoring.
Mhm.
Cookies, we'll have popcorn, drinks for free, red carpet photos.
Mhm. Just a fun
and then
Halloween
just, like,
night out.
Fun
Yeah.
watching some amateur videos. Each video is like 4 minutes or less, so it's pretty quick.
Mhm.
And then you get a vote for a winner there, which is fun. So
Yeah. It'll be a fun time.
Awesome.
So you should make a video.
Yeah. My oldest son, he got a camera phone now, and he's just
Perfect.
all sorts of videos and stuff. He'll be all
Perfect.
over
we
it.
expect something now.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay,
Fair
thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.